WPBC Cincinnati.
In here.
And the bass keeps running, running, and 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 running. Friends, fellow Cincinnatians, listeners around the world, welcome to Talk of the Town with PG Sittenfeld. I'm your host, PG Sittenfeld, who is going to be the talk of the town today. 749-1230-513 is the area code. Give us a call as always. We want to hear from you. I am your Cincinnati City Councilman, but for the next hour, just here to be part of the conversation. We have a great, very important, very interesting show for you today. We will introduce that topic in just a minute. I do want to start out by saying, well, actually a couple things. Let me also thank our show sponsors, Celebrities, out at 7617 Reading Road. Tamaya, when are we going to go back? It's been far too long.
It has been too long.
All right, come on. I can't go without you. Actually, I can, and I do. Yeah, you didn't know that, did you? What I more importantly wanted to say, in addition to thank you, Celebrities, is happy birthday to Maya Denard. Yes, that's right. The one and only Tamaya Denard celebrated her 52? How old are you?
34
You
years
look
old.
good for his 34 years old yesterday. We had a huge feast down at Mahogany's, and I'm very proud of myself. I was the only person to finish all my food. Everyone
in
else,
10 minutes.
Everyone else was, the pork chop was there doing it, or the cornbread, and Terrence, you'd be proud. I finished every last bite. So the unfortunate part is I didn't get to eat it again for lunch today. But it was great seeing Liz Rogers,
Absolutely.
and they're running a great shop down there right now.
Fun.
I mean, the service was great. The food was phenomenal, so that was fun. How's your bracket looking? Now, Tamaya likes to brag because last year she won the City Hall tournament pool, which only goes to tell you how little folks at City Hall know about college basketball.
Ouch.
Present company not included,
Ouch.
obviously, but.
Ouch.
Georgetown losing last night,
Yeah.
Harvard winning. The whole world is
Messed
upside
up
down.
a lot of brackets.
It did mess up a lot of brackets. I did see one good tweet, a sort of like spoof thing from Harvard, put out something after Harvard beat New Mexico. It said, the tweet said, America, we're sorry for ruining your brackets and the financial system and everything else. So Harvard, we accept your apology. Terrence producing the show, as always. Terrence, how's your bracket looking? You hanging in there?
I've lost already.
Yeah, you see in the Final Four.
Terrence is going to be sticking his head in the sand. So, again, number 749-1230. Give us a call if you want to be part of the conversation. The topic for today, and I will introduce our esteemed panel in just one moment, but obviously bullying is a huge problem. It's a huge issue, and it seems like the attention that as a society, as a city that we give it sort of ebbs and flows. And I think maybe it's gotten a little bit more attention lately, but I think it's getting more complicated and more complex, not less, as we think about the sort of, I don't know how new it is, our experts will tell us, but cyberbullying, right? The sort of bullying that goes on with all the new technologies that are at people's disposal. And it's bullying just the same. It's probably harder to track and harder to discipline in some ways. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, because this is something that clearly is, roiling a lot of our schools. So if folks want to weigh in and say, my child was on this or that end of a cyberbullying incident and share your opinion, please, by all means do. But we're delighted because I have no expertise in this area. So that's why we always bring in the folks that do. So delighted that we have with us today Dr. William DeMayo. Did I get that right? All right.
That's correct.
Dr. William DeMayo, who is a developmental school psychologist. We also have with us Joe Ciani.
That's right, yeah.
All right, no one's bringing in easy names today. He was an educator at the middle school level and also runs a cyberbullying awareness website.
Right.
So, Joe, delighted that you're with us. And then also Susan Graham, director of education at Child Focus Inc.
Yes.
So thank you all so much for being with us. And
Exactly.
can we, I think, because this is not brand new territory, but newish territory. So can we just start by, bringing some definition to this? So, Dr. DeMayo, what is cyberbullying? How do we define what constitutes cyberbullying?
Okay. A very, very simple definition as far as the cyberbullying would be willful and repeated harm inflicted through electronic devices or technology. That's a very, very simplistic as far as definition, but it's basically as far as the intent is to create harm, and it's repeated as far as over time, and it's done through some type of electronic media.
Okay, so this isn't like a heat of the moment, one-off comment. This is, my goal is to make somebody else's life miserable, unpleasant, to hurt them, and I do it intentionally and repeatedly, and I'm doing it through electronic media.
That's correct. Right on.
All right, no, it's a very good definition. Joe or Susan, anything you all would add in terms of just Susan, yeah.
In terms of definition, no, I think you're spot on. But there are quite a few differences between bullying and cyberbullying that I think are part of the conversations. You know, one thing for the target in particular, traditional bullying you can walk away from. And it doesn't follow you. You know, what we're facing with youth these days, cyberbullying happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can't escape it when they go into the walls of their own home.
Right. And Joe, anything you would add as we sort of just, you know, I think, and also look, I think those that know me know I'm not the most tech savvy person. So anything that has a technological angle, I'm probably already at a disadvantage. But I think a lot of people are probably saying, you know, cyberbullying, you know, I think I've heard something about it here or there, but not that familiar maybe.
Yeah, sort of the same kind of lines, especially with Facebook, Twitter out. It makes it a lot harder. You know, when I was in high school, thank gosh, I didn't have Facebook. To have that kind of thing, to have that kind of means for people to talk or whatever it goes. But yeah, bullying has always been around, I would say. But the cyber, that electronic piece, is the harder thing that's brought to.
And we are, I mean, I do think about it. So Facebook wasn't around when I was in high school. You know, I'm still fairly on the young side, but we are so exposed and it is so pervasive. It's like Facebook doesn't go away when you, I mean, I think, you know, what you said, that you can walk away from the bully on the playground or run away or whatever you want to do. You know, your Facebook account, it's there. And I mean, I guess you can defriend, but T, what were you?
I was just, you know, technological advancements are probably the main contributor to cyberbullying. But are there any other factors that contribute to cyberbullying?
Doctor, do you want to?
Yeah, there's actually a number of factors. And I think one of the things is society in general today. We see as far as the increase, as far as in media violence, and also as far as what's occurring within our particular schools, in our communities regarding children and youth. Another particular thing is what I consider kind of lack of empathy as far as among some of our children and our adolescents today. And that's a big thing as far as that we look at in combating as far as cyberbullying and bullying in general.
So frankly, I mean, this is not just a reflection of our technology. It's also a reflection of our values. We talk a lot about politics on this show, and I sort of say, you know, when some of the just sort of nastiness and what I think constitutes bullying, I mean, you know, if even it's congressman to congressman, or the way, you know, some people will treat the president or those sorts of things, clearly are probably not a good. I think the adults too often are demonstrating bullying. So should we be that surprised when middle schoolers end up doing it?
Right. Yeah, and Dr. DeMeo, you mentioned a lack of empathy, and that's something that really is perpetuated through cyberbullying because, you know, having technology in between the bully and the one who's targeted in bullying really kind of dehumanizes it and separates us. We're not able to see the one who initiates the bullying behavior. They don't get to see the target's reaction. So they certainly aren't able to respond or have any empathy for what they've demonstrated or what they've initiated in towards the target.
So on Tamaya's point, it was for me like a you know, societal touch point or sort of evolving culture when, not that this is totally related, but in the, it seems like they, you know, crank out a Die Hard movie with Bruce Willis once every 5 years. But when in you know, Die Hard 4 or whatever it was, the bad guy was actually a hacker. You know, you're used to it being like this sort of, you know, like 7 foot tall Soviet guy with the, you know, rippling muscles or something. And here it was, you know, it was, there's some line in there like, you know, you're a Timex watch in a digital age, McLean. So clearly the technology, you know, Joe, is the technology making it worse, actually? Is it taking the problem? I mean, look, I think bullying, I would guess, has been around as long as mankind has been around.
Sure.
Is the technology exacerbating it or just really translating to a different medium?
That's the thing. Technology is supposed to, you know, help us improve on our lives. It's part of the kids that are doing the cyberbullying, the middle school, the young girls, whatnot, that kind of start everything up and initiate that kind of things. I have a stat for you. 80% of students do not have rules placed on their computers by their parents. So 80% of them either don't have rules or know how to get around it. So not only are we dealing with younger kids, they also know how to bend the rules, break them, and get around that kind of thing too.
No, I don't want to force you all to be both experts and sort of, you know, give parenting advice too. But I mean, what should some of those rules be, to be honest? You know, we have a lot of parents are listening right now. So if they would say, I never honestly really, and I mean, I think part of the problem too is the younger generation is always going to know the technology so much better. My dad types out emails one finger at a time, and I think he thinks that the keyboard actually shifts each time. Like if he presses the E, he then has to relook at the whole keyboard to find the E again. So that in some ways, it might not be that they're trying to be negligent, but frankly, it's like, how do you set rules on something you don't understand as well? But to our parents who are listening, what are some rules around, how their kids are engaging with technologies, using their computer that you all would recommend?
Yeah, parents, if they create the guidelines with the children, a lot of times if they do it with them, it's a lot easier for them. A lot of times parents know how to check the history of the internet, so to see what exactly the student's been on.
And let me just ask you on that point. If a parent doesn't know how to check the internet, the internet history, and see what websites has my child been going to, would your response be, well, find out, or?
Yeah, I guess if they go to cianiscience.com, my website, it's easy on there for them to find, because even Facebook has guidelines for them to follow. So Facebook safety tips must be 13, don't share your password, only accept friends requests from those people you actually know. So even they have those basic things to follow. Of course, you're always going to have those kids that are a little bit more tech savvy, but those basic guidelines maybe could help out in a lot of ways.
Dr. DeMeo, in terms of laying out rules, parents laying out rules for their children, what sort of things would you add?
Well, I think one of the most important things is that you have probably purchased, as far as the cell phone, as far as for your particular.
The parents probably usually pay the bills. There's leverage there.
Yes. In addition, as far as to the internet connection. So we do have a lot of leverage, and we need to tap into that to say there are consequences, that this is what, as far as I expect, as far as regarding your behavior or using technology, whether the cell phone or the internet. And if you do not follow, then there's going to be, as far as consequences. Great one is you're going to lose as far as your cell phone. I mean, it's like a dagger in the heart.
Let me tell you how that
to
worked
adolescents.
I really, the only time in my life I loved watching TV, like really loved watching TV, was when I was a little kid. And my parents, that was always the I don't know, carrot stacks, the carrot that they would take away from me is, you misbehave, no more, afternoon cartoons. And that usually caused me to comply. So that can be a good one. All right, such a big topic, so much more to discuss. We're going to pay some bills here. We'll be right back. You were listening to Talk of the Town on 1230, The Buzz of Cincinnati.
The Buzz, 12:30 a.m.
Your official talk station.
We're at Walmart with the Easter Bunny. Tell us about yourself.
I like to hide things. It's what I do.
How about low prices?
I don't hide that. And apparently you don't either. You've got a low price guarantee backed by AdMatch right out in the open so people can match a lower price right at the register. You're not very good at hiding stuff, but you do have baskets, I'll give you that.
For everything you need for the perfect Easter meal, save money, live better, Walmart. Walmart stores will match the price of any local competitor's printed ad for an identical product. Not applicable to Walmart.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
And now, another great hit from Flo. Discounts from Progressive are good.
Why is a strike bad in baseball if it's good in bowling? And then someone told me about a basketball strike. That sounds bad, but I'm not quite sure. But I think we all can agree it's good to get discounts from Progressive.
Progressive offers lots of discounts to help you save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states.
In case you missed the TJMS, here's what happened. The IRS says if you come down here to the IRS, you might be able to claim some $917 million in unclaimed tax refunds.
Don't do it. It's a sting. I've seen this before.
This appears to be legitimate.
Okay, go down there if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not going nowhere near that place. When IRS business friendly.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on 1230, The Buzz.
Hi, this is Jerry Tolliver. I had the opportunity to meet Ren Newcomer, owner of Newcomer Funeral Homes, and I learned about their history and facilities. So, Ren, tell me a little bit about your background.
I'm a fourth-generation funeral director. My family's been in the funeral business for nearly 120 years.
What's Newcomer's history in Ohio?
We own 10 funeral homes in Ohio today. We are the largest funeral provider in the state of Ohio, serving nearly 4,000 families a year. When we opened up 17 years ago, we opened up offering high-quality services at the guaranteed best price.
Tell me, what makes Newcomer special?
Newcomer is special because this is not just a job for us. We are all very passionate about serving families with excellence. We offer the absolute best price guaranteed.
For caring, professional service at the best price guaranteed, call Newcomer Funeral Service at 522-6100 or visit them online at newcomercincinnati.com.
Big
Can't get through on the phone? Instant message or text at 96230. We're your talk station. 1230, The Buzz.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with PG Sittenfeld. So glad you were spending some of your Saturday with us. And here's what you do. You get the games on TV, you put the TV on mute, and you turn on 1230 The Buzz. You already knew that. I know, but just in case anyone was thinking, I can't hear Sittenfeld over the commentators, just put the TV on mute. You can do both. T, did you, growing up, my parents were just so sad with technology in the first place. The big screen TV in our house was about 12 inches across. So it's like there wasn't that much technology to regulate. But did you have a lot of rules around, whatever you can only use you can play the boombox at these times, or these are your TV hours, or
No, we didn't really have those
Really?
those kind of rules. I was a good kid.
because you were just so angelic.
I
is what you're
was.
saying.
How did you
Yeah.
know?
We know better than that. Was it even used as like the carrot and the stick thing, where if you do misbehave, which apparently you're telling us you never did, that those would be taken away? Or
No, I was. Now I have two older brothers who weren't as good on the behavior side, but there were certain things I like to read. So if I didn't do things I was supposed to do, then
they would take away your books.
I would not be able to read.
That seems counterproductive.
I could do my homework, but not the pleasure reading. Like not the Bernstein Bears or Judy Blume.
Terrence is sitting in studio saying, he would intentionally misbehave so his books got taken away. Now I don't have to read. So, I want to get into the, because all of you are dealing with this in direct ways, seeing what's the actual impact of cyberbullying on real people. And again, if folks want to weigh in, 513-749-1230. But before we get to that, Susan, anything else in terms of guidelines for parents setting rules of their own about, I guess, how their children, basically, you want to get to the point where kids don't think I can do anything I want with my technology, including be really nasty to another person.
Sure. Yeah. I think as parents, we've got to do a couple things. We need to model appropriate online behavior and model minimal use of technology. One rule we have in our house is no cell phones come to the dinner table.
Yeah, smart.
And, we need to interact with each other and have positive.
You mean you actually talk to each other?
Well, we try. The 3 and 4 year old.
What a weird family.
Right. But it's really easy to, answer text messages at dinner because it's related to work or something going on. So we try to put some limits and structure around that. And, then the other thing is just minimize the amount of screen time in general, whether it's on no matter what device it's on.
Well, to echo that, T, in our Let's Move initiative, one of the things, it's the 5210. Let me see if I can get these right. Okay. So 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day.
Yep.
2 hours or less of recreational screen time, an hour of exercise, and 0 sugary drinks. But in terms of our overall health, they say if you're, just glazed in front of your, so one is, I guess, not living in front of your technology anyway.
Sure.
Joe, as we think about sort of the impact of this, what happens to people who are cyberbullied? You're an educator at the middle school level. I mean, talk about what you see and if you're a 12-year-old girl or a 14-year-old boy, what actually happens when people are on the receiving end?
Yeah, there's a lot of emotional problems that are with that. As a teacher, you see the side effects from it. So obviously they can't get on the internet during school, but when they come in that night before, someone might have said something on Facebook or said something to them online or anonymous or whatever it is, and then you have to deal with it, the teacher, the next day. So it's the ramifications from that you have to deal with. Sometimes it might blow up a little bit or escalate into something else, and you kind of have to put that fire out before it goes even more than what it is.
Right, Dr. DeMeo, you're a clinical school psychologist. What's happening to the kids? I mean, talk about the impact it has on them emotionally, on their brain, et cetera.
Okay, well, actually, it has a lot of different things as far as it occurs. One is that we see correlations as far as between school failure. In addition to that, family problems, increase as far as delinquent behavior, some of the school violence as far as has been related as far as to bullying and cyberbullying as far as in the past. So those are just as far as a few where there's a correlation. But the other major concern for us, in addition to the emotional piece that Joe talked about, is the avoidance to go to school, be embarrassed as far as to go to school, go out in public, because the thinking is that everybody knows as far as this. It becomes viral and I'm a target. So they become as far as very inclusive and withdrawn.
It's such a good point that, if you are sitting in class freaked out that someone's going to be, texting, somebody else about what a loser you are, whatever, however it manifests itself, it's very hard to focus on what's actually being taught there. Susan, anything else in terms of what you've seen is the impact on those on the receiving end of cyberbullying?
Sure, we've seen it, and there's also a lot of research to support higher levels of depression, anxiety, and even medical somatic complaints like stomach aches, headaches that influence kids every single day, and influence, like Dr. DeMayo said, their coming to school, or not coming to school, I should say.
Right. I know, T, you had a question, but one other thing I was just sort of curious about, are the people that are doing the cyberbullying the people who have sort of always been the bullies anyway, or is this creating a new breed of bully where, like, the tech nerd actually is in a better position to do the cyberbullying, or is it still like just the mean jerk person that's in every class that they're the ones still doing it?
I think it's a combination, because now what occurs is that this tech person, this nerd person, now has, as far as an upward advantage, as far as to use technology to create, as far as some of these situations. But also, we do see a high correlation between traditional bullying and also cyberbullying.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it probably boils down to what your character is, that whether you were going to, stuff someone in a locker in olden days or, post something nasty on Facebook, that it really is, if that's who you are, then you're going to find different ways of doing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap, and technology is how our young people are communicating now. So whether they're doing it face to face or they're doing it using electronic means, they're communicating some of the same messages. And there's a high level of overlap in the targets. Individuals that are targeted face to face are also targeted.
All right, one more
technology.
T, I'm going to stop hogging all these questions, but is there something that people, middle school, whatever age this is most prevalent at, and I guess it's, you all can speak to that too, but that can do to not make themselves targets? It's really interesting to hear you say that the same people that would be targets of traditional bullying, which might be more face to face or even physical, would also be the same targets of cyberbullying. What can those people do to not be victims and release themselves from that?
In the training we do, what we like to tell students is, when you're bullied through technology, the first thing to do is not respond. Secondly, tell an adult. And if that adult doesn't help you, tell another adult, and then another adult, and another adult, until somebody is willing to help you put a stop to it. Great thing about cyberbullying that's different from traditional bullying is that there's clear evidence. And there's a record of it. So keep that record and don't delete that record, because then you can do something about it. I think one of the things that school folks struggle with traditional bullying is how to prove that the behavior happened when it's done face to face and it's just reported to you. So with cyberbullying, that barrier is eliminated, and we can really address the issue.
And I'm guessing the sort of first step being actually don't respond is if you engage, it's just going to escalate the whole.
Absolutely.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Because you hear, and again, I'm not a educator, I'm not a school psychologist, I don't work at Child Focus Inc. But you sometimes hear people say, the first thing you do is, if you're getting bullied, sometimes you got to like pop them in the nose, and that's what gets them to stop it. When it comes to technology, that clearly is not the advice.
Absolutely. And we wouldn't, even if it were face to face, we wouldn't encourage, I know many parents do, we wouldn't encourage you to pop.
Nor was that me encouraging it either, yes. Councilman Sittenfeld said pop them in the nose. Although I do think Samaya and I, we love Joe Biden, and I think he's setting a few keynote addresses. Sometimes when the bully's coming at you, just bloody him.
Bloody his nose,
Bloody
Joey.
his nose, Joey. But Joe Biden from the mean streets of Scranton, so he can say that. Dr. DeMayo, I know you were going to.
The other thing that I think is very, very important, both for adults, parents, and teachers, is to build up the child's self-esteem. I think that is one of the greatest protective factors that we can use to help students deal as far as with bullying and cyberbullying, is to be extremely supportive and build up that self-esteem.
Yeah, it's smart. I know we're playing hot mics here in the studio because it's such a slumber party.
You guys were talking earlier about the cyberbullying and the the space between the bullier and the person being bullied, but that also with, like, just in general, people have more courage with technology. They'll say things via text or email or Facebook that they know they wouldn't say face to face, and I think that's one of the main issues.
We see that politically. It's like, so many sort of folks who like to be anonymous in their criticism. And it's like, look, I'm a big boy. Like, I can take it like something I've done, but why don't you put your name and face on it if you're going to be a grown up about it.
I was watching CNN, and they were talking about cyberbullying, and someone says, I think people are just being too sensitive. People have been bullied since the beginning of time. So, it's to our experts, are we being too sensitive? And at what point does a harmless prank actually turn into cyberbullying?
How do we know the line?
Well, if we're talking about bullying, I don't think we are being too sensitive. Personally, by definition, there's an intent to harm in bullying. So if there's this intent to harm, we need to do something about it as adults to put a stop to it. We know that there's devastating effects on the individual that's targeted. So no, we're not being too sensitive. We need to continue to address it.
Joe, would you agree with that?
Yeah, and also bullying is continuous. So it's not just one harmless prank or one little thing. It's a continuous being made fun of or posting something about it. And quite honestly, the too sensitive part is their lives on the line. Bully side is a big problem with people committing suicides from what they've read online. So they're taking it personally, and then want to end their lives because of what is being said online.
And obviously I think we've all read about stories in the newspaper and nationally where, an otherwise sort of well-adjusted seeming child who was, getting good grades or playing sports, maybe they sent their boyfriend a picture of them, in some stage of nudity or something, and that got forwarded around, or someone said something nasty, and then you see suicides in these most extreme sort of emergency situations. If someone is friends with someone who they think is, really under a lot of emotional stress because of a cyberbullying incident, if you're a parent, what's the sort of like, how do you spring into action in the case of something that seems like it could be a disaster if not dealt with? I mean, is there sort of an emergency playbook here?
Well, I think one of the things I want to react to about what was being said is that suicide's it doesn't happen because of one event or one experience. Suicide's a really complex action that a lot of factors come into play, and typically there's some level of depression or other mood issue that's involved, as well as maybe history, family factors, and other things. But whether it's a very general comment about suicide or some ideation of suicide that is expressed, whether it's a peer or another adult, we really need to
tell people absolutely
and try to get that individual help, because we know that suicide can be stopped. We know depression's treatable. So, I'd say get some help.
Well, I think you're probably right that maybe sometimes the media makes it seem like this is a result of this one incident, and maybe there were sort of underlying factors there. But just want folks to know what to do, which is let people know. Obviously, let mental health experts know. All right, we're going to take another break, pay some more bills here, continue the conversation. When we come back, you are listening to Talk of the Town on 1230 The Buzz of Cincinnati.
Get stupid. Don't worry about it. People will walk you through it. 1230 WTBC Cincinnati. The Buzz, a Black Planet radio station.
If you missed the Lincoln Ware Show, you missed.
Jimmy. What's up, Lincoln?
How you doing?
Yeah, Lincoln. Jet magazine is a black magazine. Always has been.
No kidding.
It's been a black magazine. Always has been.
Thanks for that earth-shattering news.
Hey, what's earth-shattering about that?
Hello? Anybody home? Hey!
Thank you very much. Now you get it. The Lincoln Ware Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1230. The Buzz, your talk station. Reverend Al always tells it like it is.
Guess what? The celebration is over. Now we've got to get back to work. We need to deal with the fact that this Congress must let this president provide jobs. The jobs bill they stopped, we need now infrastructure redevelopment. We need to deal with sane gun laws. We cannot stay at the party. History will not record how much fun we had. History will record what we did or did not get done.
Reverend Al, weekdays from 2 to 4 on 1230, The Buzz.
Hi, this is Jerry Tolliver. On Thursday, April 4th, 1230 The Buzz will join 15 other Radio 1 stations to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Last year, the 2012 Radio 1 Radiothon and our listeners raised over $1 million for St. Jude for our children. St. Jude is the only pediatric cancer research center where families never pay for treatment not covered by insurance. No child is ever denied treatment because of the family's inability to pay. In addition to childhood cancers, St. Jude researchers and doctors are treating children with genetic immune defects and pediatric AIDS, as well as using new drugs and therapies to fight infections. St. Jude was the first institution to produce a cure for sickle cell disease with a bone marrow transplant and has one of the largest pediatric sickle cell disease programs in the country. If you'd like to help as a volunteer, please call 679-6146. If you'd like to make a donation, log on to thebuzzcincy.com and listen Thursday, April 4th for our live St. Jude Radiothon. From the station keeping you connected, 1230 The Buzz.
1230 The Buzz.
Welcome back to Talk of the Town with PG Sittenfeld. Hope everybody's having a great Saturday, and obviously dealing with a a very serious and weighty topic today. But we all have friends, we all know young people, people have children, so want to make sure that people are sort of fluent in this and know how to proceed and go forward. And Joe, let me ask you this: how good, and we might not be able to sort of know this scientifically, but are young people who are being cyberbullied forthcoming to their parents? Are the parents likely to know because their child actually told them, or would they know by some other means?
I've had research where it is 11% of teens actually talk to their parents about being cyberbullied.
Is that 11% of teens that are being bullied? Or
being bullied, yeah. And that's the problem too, because they don't want to admit to it. So, hey, mom, I just got called a nerd or something worse than that.
Worse, yeah.
So they don't want to admit to it.
We appreciate you watching your language on the show, though. We take your point. Well, so that being the case, and I'm not shocked that and tell me if I'm thinking about the wrong age when I think about sort of adolescent anguish peaking in middle school, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. But if that's the case, that the vast majority of kids are not necessarily being forthcoming with their parents, what signs should parents be looking toward to see and to be aware and to know that their child might be being cyberbullied?
Yeah, well, another part of it too is parents can also be friends of their child to see if something is happening. So if they have a password, they can check it that way. A lot of times a parent can tell is behavioral changes. So if they're acting different than they used to, more anger, more depression, that's a good telltale sign that something did happen or something's going on.
Dr. DeMaio,
Yeah, there's actually some specific signs related to technology. For example, all of a sudden they stop using the computer or the cell phone.
Sure.
Another particular thing that what occurs is that if they had like social media, Facebook page, all of a sudden their Facebook page is taken down.
Something's going on. People are right.
In addition, if they get a text message and they respond emotionally to it, that there are some real specific signs related to the behavior associated with technology that is a good indicator that something might be occurring.
So is there anything you would add in terms of parents being able to, their children that aren't being as forthcoming as we wish sort of, the channels of communication were to detect that something's going on?
I think we all, just as responsible parents, need to talk to our kids about it as a just open topic and have open discussions. We talk about, look both ways before you cross the street and wear your bike helmet and things like that. We also need to talk about what's okay to put online and what's not okay to post online, because once it's there forever.
Right. And then I guess it's going to be a little bit awkward, but if you find out that someone else's child is sending around nasty, untrue text messages or Facebook statuses, that you call the parent and tell them just like you would with anything else?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
See?
I'm curious to know, we've talked a lot about it, what can be done, cyberbullying. I mean, what can educators, teachers, professionals, what can we do?
Yeah, so we know the problems there. We understand why it's there. We understand how the technology is fueling this. We obviously don't want it to be there. So what do we do next?
Well,
doctor,
a number of different things.
Everyone's so polite.
Especially in the educational system, whenever we look as far as innovative programs, is that, first of all, there's got to be an awareness. And, for example, this show helps with awareness as far as the cyberbullying. Second, there's got to be a commitment. And, again, this program helps with that commitment. Third, which is very, very important, there has to be a capacity.
And what does that look like?
Capacity is, again, the resources and the knowledge that the educators, the administrators, the parents will have in their hands, also the students, to actually implement.
To push you on that one, does that mean more mental health resources available to people, or does that mean better technology within the school to basically the school can sort of hack into kids' stuff to see when cyberbullying? I mean, what?
There's I think a variety of things as far as that can occur. First of all, one thing that having kind of a contract or agreement between administrators, students, and parents about what cyberbullying is.
Like people actually sign something saying, this is what cyberbullying is, and I will not participate in. Right.
Exactly.
Do schools do that currently?
Yes, a number of schools actually do that.
Seems smart.
For bullying and cyberbullying. Another thing is just simple visual reminders, especially in the tech center or around the school, regarding expectations. One thing that we attempt to do is that we implement something called positive behavioral support, positive school culture, and we have matrices. For example, there's expectations like respect, responsibility, being safe, and then in different areas like the cafeteria, in the restrooms, in the hallways. Well, one thing I suggest to schools is have one for technology too. And what would that matrix of being responsible, being respectful, being safe look like as far as in that matrix regarding as far as technology? Another particular thing that helps a lot from our point of view is to work with the students on what we call digital citizenship.
Yeah.
Responsibility as far as online.
You owe your community something, even in the sort of Ethernet. Right. There's so many angles to this conversation that and the questions I hadn't really thought about before. But in terms of who is the sort of disciplining agent when cyberbullying occurs, and again, Joe, let me pose this to you first, since you're in a school every day. If a student writes something, I guess let's say in school on their smartphone, writes something mean and bullying on somebody else's Facebook wall, is it the principal who steps in and do it? Do they have the sort of jurisdiction? Because did it happen in the school? Well, sort of. It happened in the internet, and that's different than somebody yelling something at somebody on the school playground or in the school classroom. Who's the disciplining body or agent for cyberbullying?
Yeah, our school is straight administration. So administration works on it. We look at it, or if they come to us first a lot of times, and then we go to administration to kind of touch what Dr. Bill was saying. We have bullying prevention, which is OVAIS, and he actually came to our school. We're one of 6 or 7 or so Cincinnati Public Schools that actually have that. And the bullying theme is NBA theme. We're a big basketball school. I coached the girls basketball team undefeated regular season. And so their NBA theme is no bullying allowed. So we have a team NBA to get on that. Dawn Bittner was one of the people that started at Cheviot with me, and no bullying allowed NBA theme to kind of help prevent that. And then once it does, unfortunately, if it does happen, then we go on to administration.
Now, not to get sort of too into jurisdictional boundaries here, but let's say you have 2 students who are both students at a given school, and the cyberbullying happens off campus, and they do it on the weekend. Then does the school have the ability, the autonomy, the authority to step in and be a disciplining, or then it's in the parents' court?
It's a very, what we call murky
the internet's a weird
subject. And right now there's a number of law cases,
The courts
case
will tell
studies
us,
going through, but usually it focuses on something referring to as substantial disruption. If the incident that occurs as far as out of the school grounds, immediate school grounds, and has a substantial disruption within your school, then definitely as far as that administrators as far as would discipline. But from my perspective, any particular incident that occurs is what I call a teachable moment, is that we might not actually, quote, use formal discipline related to our code of conduct, but it's a moment as far as to teach and for kids as far as to learn about appropriate behavior and what occurs within society.
Right. Susan, back to that big question of what's, specific concrete steps can we, as a society, as elected officials, as parents, can we take to, address this problem and make sure that it's not as prevalent?
The piece we haven't talked about is teaching bystanders what appropriate behavior is too. Everybody's involved in bullying at some level, even people that witness it, even people that see posts on Facebook, for example, they're impacted by that. So the other piece that we can do as far as education goes is teach all individuals to respond appropriately to bullying when they see it happen, and to support their friends, to, if they know their friend's not going to tell their parent that they were bullied, then they need to tell somebody.
Which obviously gets into a tough space for 13-year-olds who, do they really want to be going to someone else's parent and saying, I think your child's getting bullied by this person? And then, it's clearly the brave thing to do, the right thing to do, but
it is. And I believe we need to empower our youth to do it.
I know this is not an easy question, but are there things that elected officials, either, at the local level or at, maybe things that have already happened in Congress, but that they can be doing? And I realize it's probably in some ways such a complicated problem that we should also be wary of trying to sort of over legislate it and think we're solving it when maybe we're not. But do things come to mind for Dr. DeMeo?
Well, from my perspective is that it seems that, and you especially being an elected official, sometimes have what we call reactive.
But during this show, I'm actually not an elected official. I surrender all council authority that I have on talk of the town. Right?
You kind of have a reactive as far as an approach, of dealing especially with social, emotional, and mental health issues.
Yeah.
I think if we take more of a proactive approach, with working with the politicians, with the educators, the administrators, law officials, parents, and students, we can come up as far as with a comprehensive plan. I think the other important thing, especially in today's society with very what we call restrained budgets, is providing, again, those resources that are valuable for educational systems and law enforcers to put into practice to deal with this very difficult subject.
Well, and I know this is obviously a sort of an evolving issue, so we will continue to keep our ears open, and you will let us know when we can and should sort of step in with action.
I mean, I'm interested to know, how pervasive is cyberbullying? I mean, the number is going to change, but how many people will actually be affected by cyberbullying?
That's a great question.
I actually brought some research, and there's a wonderful site, if we're allowed to mention.
Yeah, you can mention anything.
Okay, it's called the.
We can bleep you out if you say something that shouldn't have been said.
It's called the Cyberbullying Research Center, and they have the up-to-date.
So people would Google Cyberbullying Research Center. Okay.
And the site would come up. It's run by two psychologists, I think one out of Florida, one out Wisconsin. Up-to-date information regarding what's occurring regarding cyberbullying for students, for parents.
And do they offer an answer to Tamaya's question about, are we talking about something that is, and not that if it was a smaller number, we shouldn't still do something about it, but it's impacting 5% of students or 70% of students? Or
actually, I have the numbers right here from their latest research. It just came out in 2013. Number of different studies out here, anywhere between 15% and 50%. But actually, the
15 to 50.
15, 15 to 50. Actually, when you look at their particular research, when they looked at 7 to 10 different studies, they discovered that individuals who are victimized, the ones where the bullying is directed to, cyberbullying, 23.9% of the population from the ages of 11 to 18. Okay?
There's a 1 in 4 chance that your child is being cyberbullied. Yeah.
And then related to the kids or the students who actually engage in cyberbullying, 16.9, 17%. And you might ask, why is the number different? Because those kids who engage in cyberbullying might have more than one.
Yeah, sure. They're bullying several people. Yeah, we're going to take another break here and come back for the final segment. But Joe, will you give your website as well so we can get all the resources out there?
Yeah, mine is cianiscience.com. That's CIANI science.com.
CianiScience.com. And if people want to learn more about Child Focus Inc., Susan, where should they go?
They can go to child-focus.org.
All right, so a lot of resources out there. We'll continue the conversation coming up out of this break. You're listening to Talk of the Town on 1230, The Buzz of Cincinnati.
Let's get hectic. Everybody. Your talk station, 1230, The Buzz.
In case you missed the TJMS, here's what happened. The IRS says if you come down here to the IRS, you might be able to claim some $917 million in unclaimed tax refunds.
Don't do it. It's a sting. I've seen this before.
This appears to be legitimate.
Okay, go down there if you want to.
Yeah, I'm not going nowhere near that place. When IRS business friendly.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on 1230, The Buzz. Ravenel always tells it like it is.
Guess what? The celebration is over. Now we've got to get back to work. We need to deal with the fact that this Congress must let this president provide jobs. The jobs bill they stopped, we need now infrastructure redevelopment. We need to deal with sane gun laws. We cannot stay at the party. History will not record how much fun we had. History will record what we did or did not get done.
Ravenel, weekdays from 2 to 4 on 1230, The Buzz.
We're at Walmart with the Easter Bunny. Tell us about yourself.
I like to hide things. It's what I do.
How about low prices?
I don't hide that. And apparently you don't either. You've got a low price guarantee backed by AdMatch right out in the open so people can match a lower price right at the register. You're not very good at hiding stuff, but you do have baskets, I'll give you that.
For everything you need for the perfect Easter meal, save money, live better, Walmart. Walmart stores will match the price of any local competitor's printed ad for an identical product. Not applicable to Walmart.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
If you missed the Lincoln Ware Show, you missed.
Jimmy, what's up, Lincoln?
How you doing?
Yeah, Lincoln. Jet magazine is a black magazine. Always has been.
No
That's
kidding.
phone for me. It's been a black magazine. Always has been.
Thanks for that earth-shattering news.
what, hey, what's earth shattering about that?
Hello? Hello? Anybody home? Hey!
Anyway,
Thank you very much. Now you get it.
The Lincoln Ware Show, weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1230. The Buzz, your talk station.
Hi, this is Jerry Tolliver. On Thursday, April 4th, 12:30, The Buzz will join 15 other Radio 1 stations to raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Last year, the 2012 Radio 1 Radiothon and our listeners raised over $1 million for St. Jude for our children. St. Jude is the only pediatric cancer research center where families never pay for treatment not covered by insurance. No child is ever denied treatment because of the family's inability to pay. In addition to childhood cancers, St. Jude researchers and doctors are treating children with genetic immune defects and pediatric AIDS, as well as using new drugs and therapies to fight infections. St. Jude was the first institution to produce a cure for sickle cell disease with a bone marrow transplant and has one of the largest pediatric sickle cell disease programs in the country. If you'd like to help as a volunteer, please call 679-6146. If you'd like to make a donation, log on to thebuzzcincy.com and listen Thursday, April 4th for our live St. Jude Radiothon. From the station keeping you connected, 1230 The Buzz.
Listen all day, every day. We're the Buzz of Cincinnati. 1230 The Buzz. Streaming online at thebuzzcincy.com. Welcome back to Talk of the Town, Cincinnati. Really appreciate you spending the hour with us. And I was joking off air, man, I don't know if I want to have kids anymore. That's obviously not true. It's just important that we think about this, that we take positive steps toward, making sure that our own kids be aware if they're being bullied. Be aware if your child might be the cyber bully too. Know the technology enough that you can monitor some of this. And I really do want folks to be able to be connected with the various resources. So Susan, we'll start with you and go down the line. But if one more time people want to, again, give the website of your organization or entity. And also if there's upcoming training or anything else, let folks know about that.
Sure. At Child Focus, we provide training in the Ulvaeus Bullying Prevention Program, which is a really holistic approach to addressing bullying, particularly in schools and in the community. We have a training coming up that's directed towards parents and educators specifically to address cyber safety, and that's going to be in the end of May. So we haven't finalized the date, but it'll be in the last 2 weeks of May. And to get information on that, you can visit child-focus.org.
Sweet. Joe?
So once again, CianiScience.com, CIANI, and then Science, SCIENCE.
I kind of want to say like Ciani, like a little more.
Ciani.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are parent and teacher tips on there. They have victim stories. It's just a what to do. There's interactive PowerPoints, a lot of information. The movie Bully, I don't know if anyone's ever seen that. Mm-hmm. There's a trailer for that. That's what really got me involved into this. That's a great movie to see as well.
If folks want to see Bully, I mean, can they just get it off the internet? Or
it's on Netflix right now, 5
does
stars.
Blockbuster still exist before I steer people there? No? All right. Clearly, this is why the conversations around technology
Welcome to 2013.
are a little bit of a challenge, right? I'm going to get my horse and buggy when I leave the studio. And Dr. DeMayo, again, you're sort of...
Right. I'm with the Mayerson Academy. We also offer, as far as the Ulvaeus particular program, we also offer customized training as far as regarding bullying and cyberbullying. And we're working on a very, very exciting project called Positive School Culture Initiative, implementing as far as positive psychology, strengths-based as far as education within as far as in the educational system. So if people are interested, they can go to the Mayerson Academy website, or they can call me directly at 240-2957, area code 513.
240-2957. And, you know, folks, obviously don't throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, this is a terrible problem and it's going to afflict my child. There are things that can be done. There are resources that you can be connected to.
We spend a lot of time talking about children, but is cyberbullying just for children? Are adults cyberbullied as well?
Yeah, there's a MTV show Catfish. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it. Is a big one. Notre Dame linebacker Manti Te'o.
Yeah, we've talked about that on this show too. Yeah.
So it's not just students or younger people. It can happen to pretty much anybody.
That's interesting. What happened to Manti Te'o? Was that an example of cyberbullying?
I don't know if it was really bullied or more. That could have been more of a catfish, where she said, or it was a he. He said it was a female and supposedly died, and then all that stuff. But yeah, I guess he wasn't bullied, but he was led on.
I maybe should have. What is the term catfish? Is that a thing? Does that mean something?
Yeah, catfish
is when someone.
Yeah, it's off the movie Catfish. It's what happened.
I don't get out enough.
So. And it's all right. It's in China they would put catfish with the other fish in there, and the catfish would keep the other fish on their toes. So when they came out, the fish tasted a lot better because they were more agile when they shipped the fish. So the catfish is someone who puts you on your toes in life, and that way. Yeah, you learn something today.
And very interesting, there's actually a number of different categories that we've described regarding cyberbullying. One is impersonation. So it could actually fall into that category. Another one, which is really popular and new, is called happy slapping.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
happy slapping.
Happy slapping. And what that is that traditional bullying occurs, probably some form of physical bullying, and then somebody takes a picture or a video of that direct traditional bullying occurring, and then it becomes viral, and they send it as far as.
Can I say? Why is it called happy slapping?
That's what they call it. This happy slapping is the name of it. Very interesting. A lot of interesting things that we've kind of diagnosed regarding as far as cyberbullying.
So, Susan, you agree adults can be cyberbullied?
Absolutely.
I mean, probably a less vulnerable population theoretically, but
sure, it happens. It happens in the workplace. It happens online with adults.
Yeah. All right. As my yet unborn children, I do need to know, when am I allowed to allow them to have a cell phone? And again, this says you don't have to answer scientifically if you want to, but I mean, what seems reasonable or sensible to you all?
I think that's a tough question. That really
we're going to make you answer. We asked the hard questions.
I think that really depends on the values and the culture of each individual family and the developmental level of the child, not just the age.
Oh, give a ballpark.
Ooh.
All right, Susan.
18.
Okay, Susan's going to go on the conservative end of that, Joe.
It's probably, we're not even going to have cell phones in a couple of years. It's going to be
when can my kid get a chip in their brain? Right. Good call.
I don't know. I guess it's more for the parents, not for the kids. So if you buy a kid, your kid, a cell phone at 10, no text, so it can only receive calls or make calls. Maybe that could be something, but I say 10's a fair age.
Yeah, doctor.
You know, if I said 18, my 15-year-old daughter would kill me. So I say that. I agree with Joe in relationship. Probably not until the teens, maybe pre-adolescent, where they really need a cell phone. I think I use it more for safety for younger kids when they need the contact as far as a parent or somebody else. So I'm going to say as far as pre-adolescent to teens.
You all have offered so many valuable insights.